So, I wanted to chat about something that's been on my mind. What I thought my 20s would look like versus what actually happened. Spoiler alert, it was a lot different. Honestly, that decade was the most transformative phase of my life, and let me tell you, I made a lot of mistakes, big ones. So, in this video, I want to share those mistakes and what I learned from them. Hopefully, this can save you from making the same ones. The first big mistake I made? Using money as a yardstick instead of a tool. Here's the deal. You can use money in two ways, either as a tool to improve your life or as a way to measure your success against others. For most of my 20s, I was definitely using it as a yardstick. I spent a chunk of my paycheck on things like fancy cars, expensive clothes, and other flashy items that looked great on the outside. I was making six figures working in banking, but even with all those nice things, I felt empty inside. It was like I was living on autopilot, just trapped in this cycle of waiting for the next paycheck or the next shiny object. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom that I realized I needed to change something. Specifically, my mindset about money. I figured out that if I wanted to leave that life behind and escape a job I hated, I had to build a solid financial safety net. So I stopped using my money to impress others and started saving a huge chunk every month. Eventually, I had enough saved up to quit that job and pursue the life I'd always dreamed of. Changing your relationship with money isn't easy, but when you start using it to create a life that feels fulfilling on your terms, that's a game changer. During that year of focusing on saving and setting up the right systems, I discovered so many creative ways to save money without feeling restricted. Now, on to mistake number 2. Picking one side. In your 20s, you get bombarded with expectations about how you should be living this so-called defining decade. On one hand, you're told to enjoy life, find yourself, and soak in every experience. On the other, hustle culture creeps in, insisting you should be working your tail off while you can. Most people feel the pressure to pick a side. Looking back at my 20s, I realized there was this 5-year window where I lost my balance completely. I dove headfirst into hustle culture, laser-focused on ticking off boxes, getting qualifications, climbing the corporate ladder, and landing what I thought was my dream job, only to realize later it wasn't a dream at all. I put this immense pressure on myself, convinced I had to have it all figured out by a certain age. I was so caught up in chasing the next milestone that I forgot to slow down and enjoy the journey. Here's the thing. If you measure your happiness solely by achievements, you're basically putting your joy in a box, and that box keeps getting smaller. Eventually, you look back and wonder where the joy in the journey went. If I could chat with my younger self, I'd say, hey, it's totally okay if it takes a little longer to get where you want to be. If slowing down means you get to enjoy the ride more, then it's totally worth it. The third mistake? Caring way too much about what others think of you. This was the biggest growth stifler for me. Honestly, if you take away one thing from this video, let it be this. Stop worrying about what other people think. Your life will look so much different when you do. I spent way too much time fretting over how I appeared to others. That's why I initially chose a career everyone else seemed to be pursuing. It's also why I hesitated to start my YouTube channel and even deleted all my colleagues from LinkedIn before posting anything. I'd love to say that if you just do what you want, no one will care. But let's be real, they probably will. People will laugh, make comments, and talk about you. It's going to happen. But is that really enough to stop you from living your life? Here's a quote that helped me during this phase. A millionaire won't judge you for starting a business. A bodybuilder won't judge you for working out. A professional athlete won't judge you for playing a sport. But it's often those who are going nowhere who want to judge you for trying to do something with your life. The quicker you can shake off the fear of what others think, the happier you'll be. Trust me on this one. All right, mistake number 4 is about taking the default path that's handed to you. Society, our families, even the education system, all lay out this default path. Go to school, get a stable job, climb the corporate ladder, get married, have kids. Deviating from this well-trodden path can feel risky, right? But what we often overlook is the risk of sticking to that path. The risk of settling for a job you don't like, a boss you can't stand, or a relationship that doesn't bring you joy. We rarely consider that risk. A good way to figure out if you're making a mistake by sticking to this default path is to ask yourself, if I weren't in my current situation, if I didn't have the job I have now, the boss I have now, or the relationship I'm in, would I actively choose those things today? If the answer is no, then it's time to make a change. Otherwise, you might end up feeling a sense of missed opportunity or regret later on. A lot of this comes from asking the right questions, and one skill I believe everyone should develop is curiosity. Being a constant learner and a critical thinker will help you ask the right questions and avoid settling for that default path. Finally, mistake number 5. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. There were so many moments where I felt like I failed at something, or actually did fail, and I thought it was the end of the world. I felt inadequate, like nothing else I tried would work out, and I should just give up and stick to what I knew. I played the victim card way too often. Because of that, it took me forever to bounce back every time something didn't go my way. I'd be paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice or failing again. But here's the truth. Your 20s and 30s are actually the best times to fail. The fall isn't that hard, and you can bounce back quickly. Now, I fail at something almost every week, and honestly, it makes me happy because I know I'm trying. I'm constantly pushing myself out of my comfort zone. If I ever feel like I'm not failing, that's when I know the fire in my belly is starting to fade, and that's when the fun stops. We all fail, and that's okay. It's part of the process. Sometimes you need to fail to reach the top. Next, we have a video that's perfect for anyone, regardless of age. Click the video on the screen to learn how much money you should save by age. And be sure to check the description for additional resources that can support you in your financial planning. I'll see you there.